But as it is written, eye have not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
Psalms chapter 17, verse 15. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. Shalom Yasharala, peace Israel. Kal Halayim La, Alahayinawa, Abanawa, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. All praise to our power, our Father, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honor to elder apostles and elder bishops, great millstone. Peace and blessing to your hopeful elect out there. You brothers teaching his word in truth and in sincerity, okay? Yahweh Shai will make you elect like him. Yahweh Shai will make you hopeful elect out there just like him. He's gonna make you just like him, and he's gonna give you everything in due season, okay? I'm gonna read the scripture again, and then I'll get another. Just gonna read two scriptures in the Psalms. Psalms chapter 17 and verse 15 again. As for me, and this is a Psalm of David, and we know King David was an Israelite. Or should I say he is an Israelite, okay? So this verse right here is only for the Israelites, beginning with the elect. Those are part of the house of David. Because King David himself, he wrote this. Psalm 17 and 15. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness, meaning you will behold this truth. Okay? This truth is the Lord's face, his image. You're looking at his face in righteousness by you understanding this truth. Okay? He opened up your mind to receive this word. You understand and believe in the true proper name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. You understand and believe in the true proper name of his beloved Son, Yahushai. You know that we're the Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand this truth. So you're beholding his face in righteousness, meaning you're understanding these scriptures. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness, meaning when you're changed. When Yahushai returns to this earth, he's gonna quicken you. He's gonna give you life. When you receive that new body, it's like you're waking up for the first time. Totally refreshed, totally renewed, totally rejuvenated. A whole new world, a whole new life. That's how it's going to be when you receive that immortal body. You will be satisfied when you awake with his likeness, meaning you're going to be changed and you're going to be just like him. Because he is the perfect model. He is the archetype. So for you hopeful elect out there, you're being made into different versions of Yahushai. When he returns to this planet Earth, he's gonna make you just like him. First, he gave you his truth. You have his truth by way of his death and resurrection, because Yahushai had to die for us to receive this truth, this word. So you're beholding his face by you looking at this word. So you see Yahushai all the time. You see Yahushai by way of this word because he is the word. He comes in the volume of the book. And the more you get into this book, the more you're becoming like his image spiritually. And when he returns to this earth, physically, you're going to be like him. Physically, you're going to be changed. And you're going to receive that new covenant. The laws, statutes, and commandments will be in your mind. You're going to be programmed to do righteousness. Okay? You will have the law, statutes, and commandments downloaded within your brain. You're going to be satisfied when you awake with his likeness, meaning when he returns, he's going to beam you up, deliver you, and you're going to be just like him. And he's going to give you everything. He will give you everything, man, because he himself received everything. Now, this is Psalms chapter 16, beginning in verse 9. Therefore, my heart is glad. Now, this is Yahweh Shai speaking in the spirit. Now, these are Psalms written by our beloved King David, but lighting Psalms who hear Yahweh Shai in the spirit.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Makakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of the GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful they got there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Makakodash, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who may have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Shai. All right. And what I want to get into this morning, all right, this morning news and prophecy, dealing with, the latest, the happenings, dealing with, Esau, Edom, as we know, all right, this devil, he's in the latter end of his rulership, okay, and just as prophesied, the devil, would attempt, to upset prophecy, establish, a new world order, all right, or enterprise, all right, that's anti-Messiah, as Eliasha One would say, the technological, Tower of Babel, okay? And in the midst of this devil, attempting, to set this new world order up, he's going to be confounded. And we're seeing him being confounded now. The devil, he's fighting an uphill battle, to try to establish this new world order, and he's going to lose, okay? Everything that this devil, is attempting to do is being met with prophecy, man. Okay, and we're in the phase of prophecy where prophecy works against this man. There was a time when prophecy was at his back. Prophecy was pushing this man forward, all right, to prosper in his wickedness, man. Okay, now we're in the time where he's being confounded and his moves are being met and countered by prophecy, man. Okay, so we're seeing this devil, fight an uphill battle, catching hell, trying to get this new world order off the ground. Got these data centers, he's having problems with, keeping them cool. And all right, he having a problem with, the oil it takes and the gas it takes to keep them running. Okay. This devil having, that's why this devil talking about trying to build, data centers in space. Matter of fact, let's go here. He's talking about building data centers in the ocean. Okay, so what we're seeing from Esau, we're seeing desperation beginning to kick in. And that's why he's going to be like a madman sparing none, because he's going to start moving in frustration, man. Okay, the war ain't going exactly like he wants. All right, you got, he's still able to manipulate the markets and cause economic hardships. But there's certain things that's not going like he wants, and you can tell by these desperate moves that he's attempting to make. Okay, now when you go here real quick, all right, because the elites, all right, their agenda, of this new world order, all right, they only have so many moves left, okay, for the Lord ends this man, okay. They don't have decades, because the shit that he trying to do, he needs some time. He don't got all that time, man. Prophecy on this nigga ass, man. Okay, so this nigga is being forced to just throw some shit out there, man. That's why it's so tacky. There's no clear narrative really what's this nigga got going on. Okay, because me personally, 2020 look, the thing in 2020 look more coordinated than this shit here, man. Okay, showing you that things is going out of control. Okay, and ultimately, it's the Lord that's getting ready to bring, all right, the hammer in the earth, man. Esau is just a tool that's going to be used. Okay, but ultimately, it's the Lord that's going to bring, all right, this civil unrest, okay? Which matter of fact, we'll get it in scripture, man. Let's read this first. Job 21:29. It says, "Have you not asked them that go by the way, and do you not know their tokens?" Okay, so their tokens is a sign. All right. So as we see, all right, Esau, Edom, and how he's moving, it's a token of who he is. He's the wicked. Okay, he's constantly at war. Okay, he constantly blasphemed the Most High and his son, the angels. All right, claiming to be us. He painted his face over the images. Okay, these are all the tokens of who's the wicked. Okay, it said that the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction. So this devil was reserved, all right, until the Lord. This nigga was reserved until an appointed time where the Lord is going to judge this man. Okay, and not only judge Esau, but embarrass Esau, man. Esau is looking like an embarrassment, man. Okay, Esau is looking real bad out here, man. It's gonna look worse, and that's why he's gonna come down with great wrath, man. Okay, he's losing control of the controlled demolition. You see, and the Lord is pushing the gas on this nigga through prophecy, man, and he gonna have to come on with it. Okay, the time is not with this nigga, man. It said that the wicked are reserved to the day of destruction; they shall be brought forth to the day of wrath, man. And the Lord is bringing Esau to wrath. Okay, Esau. That's why I said, why do the heathen rage and imagine a vain thing? All this shit Esau trying to do, play both sides of the war and all. Nigga, Yahweh Shai gonna destroy both sides. Okay, he gonna destroy America, the small hats, and all right, Russia and their allies, man, and Russia's allies, man. So Yahweh Shai gonna destroy both sides. Okay, so playing both sides of the war ain't no bright idea. That ain't no great prolific idea. Yahweh Shai gonna come destroy both sides. Okay, you dumb nigga. You see, Esau is behind, man. There was a time when this nigga was ahead. He was doing the Dion, the high step. Okay, he had took off. Okay, but now prophecy has walked this nigga down, and now we're waiting on this nigga to do what we know he got to do. Okay, we know he got to eventually send ground troops over there for a slaughter. Okay, we know eventually, all right, Russia and these other nations are gonna come forth. All right, the land of Israel gonna be destroyed. Okay, and America gonna be turned to a desert. Okay, the only difference is the land of Israel. Okay, it's gonna be built back up. All right, for us, man. By heathen labor. Okay, so we to the point now to where we at the finish line waiting on Esau to do what he need to do, man. Okay, but this man has been reserved, all right, to the day of destruction, all right, and brought forth to the day of wrath, man. Okay, Job 21:31 said, "Who shall declare his way to his face, and who shall repay him what he have done?" So who's going to repay Esau for what he have done, man? Yahweh Shai. The Heavenly Father set up Yahweh Shai to judge Esau in this kingdom in these latter days, man. And that's why this war was started. Okay? And in the midst of this war, all right, this devil, the Lord's going to allow civil unrest. Okay? The economy going to collapse, and he's going to mandate the MOTB. All right, and once he do that, he's done. That's his last move. Okay, that's that nigga last move on the chessboard is to mandate the MOTB, man. All the other bullshit he got going on is irrelevant, man. Okay, all this other tacky shit Esau got going on, okay, is absolutely irrelevant, man. Nigga, mandate the MOTB, all right, and you finna get your ass cleared off stage, man. All right, this is uh Zechariah 8:10 said, "For because these days there was no hire for man, nor any hire for beast, neither was there any peace to him that went out or came in because of the affliction. For I will set everyone against his neighbor, man." So it's the Lord that's setting all this up, man. Esau is just a tool being used to bring about judgment. Okay, the Lord is using Esau to bring about judgment through the left hand side. Okay, before Esau is judged, man. Okay, so it's a lot of things that Esau has on his agenda, all right, that's irrelevant, man. Okay? The only thing that matters is prophecy being fulfilled, man. Okay? So this devil, he's subjugated to prophecy, man. All right. Esau can't operate outside of the wisdom of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. He's not doing nothing that's working against the Lord's agenda. No, he's working within the Lord's agenda, man. That's why we know that's why we can tell this nigga what he gonna do next, man. What he gotta do. Okay. This is this is the book of let's see, Proverbs. Um, might be 20 and 30. Let me see. Might be 21. Let's go here. It's the book of Proverbs. Yep, 21 and 30. All right. Yep, this is Proverbs 21 and 30. Said, though there is no wisdom, nor understanding, nor counsel against the Lord Yahweh by Shema Shai. You know, so there is no wisdom that's operating against the Heavenly Father. You know, everything, all right, everything works, all right, for the will of the Lord. Okay. Everything works according to how the Lord wants it to play out. All right. Like I say, these devils, you know, they've been overrated for a long time. Okay. And the Lord just exposing this man for what he is. Okay. And the Lord is stripping Esau and making him bare, bringing him down to nothing, man. Okay. So there's no wisdom that's operating against the Heavenly Father. Okay. That's why everything that he's doing, all right, that the Lord hasn't ordained in prophecy is irrelevant, man. Okay. A lot of that BS, you know, a new world order agenda that this devil has planned, he's not going to be able to get to that point, man. You know, well, I say this devil only has a few moves to make, man. He mandate that MOTB and start putting that C-hip, okay, in people. And the only way to buy and sell is this CBDC, okay. When he get to that point, he's done, okay. With all this Hollywood shit that he's been pushing, like he's at that point, man. Esau not gonna make it to a lot of that shit, man. Okay, because the Lord, you can tell the Lord ready to pack this nigga up, man. Okay, that's why he's looking like a drunk man on the world stage, America. Okay, the scriptures say that the Lord's gonna have Egypt staggering in their vomit, man, and doesn't it look like America is staggering in their vomit? Okay, and what's that vomit, man? All this war, violence, and confusion that America has caused throughout the earth. Now they're staggering in it, man. You know, this nigga done lied and schemed and did so much treachery, okay, that he's confused, man. Okay, so read again, said there is no wisdom, nor understanding, nor a counsel against the Lord Yahweh by Shema Shai, man. You know, so this nigga doesn't have no strategy that's going against the Lord's will. He's working within the Lord's will, man. Okay, the Lord wants to bring affliction. The Lord wants to bring civil unrest. The Lord wants to bring famine. Okay, so Esau was just doing the Lord's bidding on the left hand side. Okay, and like I say, you think, oh, I'm gonna play both sides of the war, nigga. The Lord, they'll work because the Lord wanted that to work for you. Now it's not gonna work. Like Elder Required Quorum always say, all the left hand witchcraft work until it don't, until it's time for the Lord to judge your ass, and then that shit is irrelevant. Okay, so let's matter of fact, let's get that in the book of Isaiah 19. You know, and then we'll get into some news. All right, dealing with these blockades, kind of going to, okay, what is a blockade? All right, what did that mean? Okay, and the only thing it can do is fulfill prophecy, man. Okay, every move that this nigga make only fulfills prophecy. This Isaiah 19 and 14, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Okay, so in every work thereof, all right, you see this? It says he caused them to err. Okay, so Egypt is erring. America, they're erring. They're in error. All right, you know, in every way. All right, that You go into, the witchcraft of this place, which is error. All right. The rebellion against the Most High, against Yahweh Shai, that's error. Okay. Everything that these devils, all right, put their hands to, they're beginning to err. Okay. You know, Diplomatically, these devils are erring. Okay. Militarily, they're erring. Okay. They're in error and everything, man. All right, because they started a war that Esau started a war that ends his empire. Nigga, that's stupid. Okay, you can't make that like this some prolific idea, something just so grand. And nigga, that's stupid. You started the war that's gonna end your empire. Okay, so he's like a drunken man trying to clean certain shit up, certain things that ain't going right. This nigga's trying to clean up, and he's like a drunken man staggering his vomit, and he's staggering right into prophecy, man. Okay, the Lord got this drunk ass nigga staggering right into prophecy, man, because he drunk off his own wine and believing that he's a God and believing, okay, that his technology has him on the level, his witchcraft has him on the level to where he can outmaneuver the Most High. He's drunk off his own wine, okay, and this nigga's finna stagger right into prophecy, man, which is his destruction, man. Okay, so let's cue up this first video. So let's go here first. So we know, all right, the Iranian talks failed. Okay, and now this devil is getting ready to go into a blockade. Okay, now he wants to do a military blockade because the whole thing, they want to open up the straits, supposedly, and now they want to do a blockade because they want to stop all Iranian oil, all right, that's still being produced and sold, okay, and shipped through the straits. Iranian oil, and the few nations that have made deals with Iran, they're able to come through the strait as well. Okay, so we're seeing nations also flip, and start to operate with these BRICS nations, which ultimately we know the BRICS is just another avenue to the new world order. Okay, they're leaving their old Western SWIFT system because America's they're trying to do their thing too with the stable coin and the freedom coin. Okay, but the BRICS have a digital currency too. Okay, so what we're seeing, these nations fight. Who's going to control this new system? Okay, and as this war goes on, all right, and as you had the first, okay, phase of the war with Iran and America. Really, Iran and America, the small hats are irrelevant. All right, the war between Iran and America. So there's this war between Iran and America. The first phase. All right, this set a new precedent to how these nations begin to move and how they look at America, man. Okay, because America underperformed, man. They were supposed to do way better than what they put out, man. Okay. All right. Them niggas didn't do nothing, man. But the Lord said that what? The Carmanians gonna come forth with great power. Okay. So now we seen these nations are starting to go over to, all right, these BRICS nations. Okay. Because you got the old SWIFT setup, which was dominated by America, all right, and Europe. And then you have the BRICS setup, all right, which was dominated by the kings of the East. Okay, because the scriptures speak about the kings of the East coming forth. Well, who they coming forth to fight? Okay, so you gotta deal with the prophecy, man. The elites, they doing whatever they doing in the back. All right, and the details is irrelevant because prophecy is being fulfilled. We seeing prophecy happen. We know how prophecy play out. We ain't gotta know all the details of how the elites is doing this and doing that. We privy to particular things that pertain to prophecy. Okay, and mainly this MOTB and this global reset. Okay, which everything we're seeing happening is gearing towards a global reset. Okay, but at the same time, this war is constantly escalating. So even with this blockade, it just creates a potential of war to escalate. It still is going to create the effect of the global reset. Okay, but then it also is going to create war escalation. Okay, and the more this war escalates, the more Esau loses complete control of what's going on. Okay, so let's play this and just dealing with what a blockade is and you know what it could look like. Okay, so let's go into a few videos just going into what a blockade is. Okay, I think the brother yeah, let's play this. We get a couple of precepts you brothers got. So let's go here.
Ship owned by India or China goes to an Iranian
Yes.
port, that would be blockaded. That is part of the blockade and comes out of the
That
port.
is what they're saying is they will blockade that vessel if they show that its destination or departure is from an Iranian port. They will be forced to turn around. Four things can happen here. They'll be warned verbally to turn around. They can turn around. They will be warned verbally, and then they will be boarded, right? And they will seize control of the vessel, and the ship can be taken to another port as a prize, or will be taken to another port to be impounded, right? The third thing that the most serious thing that can happen is that we could shoot a shot across its bow with our intent to harm the vessel. The last thing, and that is where Donald Trump himself will have to make the decision. No one up and down the chain of command is going to make that decision to damage or sink that vessel. Okay? Now, I want you to, none of the crews are Iranian. Everyone who has moved oil out of Iran from its ports has been foreigners. Most ships are Chinese going to China. So that leads us to a particular geopolitical confrontation. Does the United States intend to warn these vessels, and then when they don't go off course, right, when they maintain their course and speed, are we going to board, search, and seizure these vessels? That's called VBSS, Visit, Board, Search, and Seizure. We have specialized teams for that with the Coast Guard. But since so many vessels are going to be out there, they're probably going to start using Marines and SEALs. And this is not the greatest use of those crews. We have had vessels, when I was doing this against the Iraqis would weld themselves onto the bridge. They would weld the dogs on those watertight doors, or they would put chains across them to where we couldn't get onto the bridge, right? Or get down into main machinery. That's where the ship steers and powers the vessel. Those are the two places that the boarding party is going to have to go to, the bridge and machinery, because the rest of it's just oil, right? If you can't get on there, you have to make a decision. What if that vessel IRGC start coming out? Now, don't forget, we're not at war. We are in a state of ceasefire with Iran. If the IRGC come out, they could board the vessel, have a gun battle, or take you prisoner. That's a very realistic possibility. And in one circumstance.
So just to catch up to what he's saying, all right. So and I meant to say that in the beginning, but right now it's a ceasefire. So America hasn't, did any strikes on Iran. Iran hasn't done any strikes on America. All right. So it's supposed to be a 2-week ceasefire. We're in the second week of it now. All right. Now, Iran more than likely is not going to start back. All right. Unless the small hats or America strike them first. Okay. So right now we're in the state of ceasefire. Okay. But with this blockade, all right, that creates more opportunity for escalation to start the war. All right. To start the shooting war back going. Except this time, okay, you got to add China and Russia to the mix because they're the ones that sending tankers, all right, through, okay, the Strait of Hormuz. They're the only tankers that's really getting through. Pakistan, I think Japan, which I got that video, all right, they saying Japan done went over there and made a deal. Okay, so we're seeing these nations hop off this petrodollar, okay, and that's going to have a major impact on the dollar. And with this blockade, it can go two ways. Iran can say, okay, we're not going to send nothing through there. Okay, we're just going to stop our oil shipment. And Iran already has, like 128 million barrels of oil that's on the water that's beyond the Strait of Hormuz, you know, so they can still, you know, do business for a few months, and they can just shut down everything, and then the price of oil just going to skyrocket. Okay, so that could be a play, all right, to expedite, you know, the crash of the economy or the global crisis. You know, Iran can just sit down and do nothing. Okay, but it's looking like from the moves that's being made that they gonna keep selling oil. All right, got some more videos that's gonna go into that. We'll get it. So it can go two ways. Iran can say, "Well, nigga, we're gonna sit down, you know, and you're gonna let the economy go the global economy go haywire." Okay, or we going to continue to ship. All right, and if you strike one of these vessels, well, they can start back the shooting war, you know. And then if there's a Chinese vessel, which he's going to go into some more things, because, like I say, you can board the vessel, but if you can't get down to the machinery, all right, to where you can steer the vessel, take over the vessel, well, those sailors can steer into Iranian waters, and once you get into Iranian waters, now you can get boarded by Iranian military. Okay, and that's gonna be what it's gonna be a shootout. Be back to war, you know. So either way it go, either we gonna tank the economy, okay, escalate war, or do both. Okay, but it's all prophecy, man. So everything that the devil, all right, is trying to do, it only leads to prophecy, man. Okay, prophecy got this nigga checkmated in every move he make, man. Okay, and these nations want to go into this new world order with power, because they all agree. Iran, Russia, China, they all right, are on board with this technocracy. But they want to go into this technocracy as strong as possible, man. All right, they don't want that little boy treatment that they got under this first system. Okay, this Swift system that was dominated by America. They don't want that little boy treatment no more. Okay, they want sovereignty. Okay, they want the perks of being a superpower. Okay, so the Lord got the spirit on them to duke it out. Okay, which is going to end to Esau's end. Okay, so let's play a little more of this. You know, there's a few more things that can play out. You know, dealing with this blockade. I got another video from Scott Riddle. Got quite a few videos this morning, so try to be concise. You know.
We had a SEAL platoon that literally had to abandon ship because the vessel had turned and was going to Bandar Khomeini or Karg Island. And it was just like a mile from getting into Iranian waters, an Iraqi oil tanker, and those people could have been detained or, you know, or made hostile government detainees. That's a risk that we have to take. Next, right? Are we going to be like explosive breaching the doors to these bridges, which could kill and injure crew? Right? And then when they still ignore our orders and continue on to Karachi, Pakistan, or Mumbai, India, are we going to shoot shots across their bow? Right? You do that with the ship's 5-inch gun, right? Boom. Sploosh. That's exactly what it sounds like. Are we going to do that? Because that's the intent that we intend to. Our next act is to damage or sink your vessel. And my problem is I think Donald Trump has got it into his head that he's going to do that. And I think there's a tweet out there that I haven't seen this morning. I saw it on Al Jazeera, where he says he intends to use force. Right? Now, you're going to do that against a Chinese vessel? Because here's what's going to happen next. The Chinese are going to send a squadron of 3 frigates up. And I wrote this in a Substack on the 3rd day of the war, in a Substack called Enter the Dragon, where the Chinese could get between the United States and Iran, and they escort vessels to protect their vessels and other nations' oil against the United States. And that could make for a very serious geopolitical confrontation, the likes of which we haven't seen since the Cold War.
So you got that aspect. Okay, like I say, so we can go either way. You know, but according to moves that's being making, you know, it seemed like China, you know, they're gonna see, because Russia and Iran, you know, they're good on oil. They produce a lot of oil, and they don't use as much oil, nowhere near as much oil as America uses. All right, because America produces a lot of oil, but they use the most oil in the world. Okay, they use like 10 times as much oil as Iran and China. I mean, and Russia. Okay, so Russia and Iran, they're good on energy. You know, they can chill, they can wait it out. Okay, China can't. You know, all right. So that's why we're gonna go into some other videos with China. You know, is making moves like they gonna keep shipping oil. You know, and they gonna ship it with the posture of they wish the nigga would. So we gonna see. It's getting interesting, man. You know, as I love to see this war play out. You know, I love to see the strategy aspect of it of these nations, man. Well, let's go here. Let's get my boy, my boy Scott, man. You know, Scott been mad for 40 days, man. You know, since the war started. But let's play a little bit of this. You know, and Scott, he's gonna go into some more, you know, possibilities of how a blockade can look and how it could escalate, you know, into more war. Okay, so let's play this.
On the horizon.
Right.
But there will, it's alleged that Albert Einstein once said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over again, expecting a different outcome. If we resume the war, we're going to lose. There's nothing that's happened militarily that changes the dynamic that already delivered an American defeat. We don't control the Strait of Hormuz, and we never will control the Strait of Hormuz. We cannot collapse the regime. The more we bomb, the stronger the regime gets. And I know there's been a lot of C-17 flights moving around, replenishing the missiles on board the ships, getting more defense. But we will. And the Iranians said, do whatever you need to do. You'll burn through all your stuff within 2 days, and we'll be right back where we started. The same dynamics in play. Iran controls every aspect of this conflict. We can blow up buildings on the ground. That's all we can do. We don't even know if you think there's anything of value in any building in Iran today, I've got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. We're going to go back in there. Donald Trump says he's going to blow things up. Well, you touch a power plant, Donald Trump, and the lights go out throughout the Middle East. Every single major energy production field in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, in the United Arab Emirates, disappears, gone. And if you want to play even more stupid games, they'll start taking out desalinization plants. And they'll do that in Israel as well. And that's life terminating. That's the end of modern civilization in this region. And this is where the Iranians are ready to go if that's the game the United States wants to play. This is why we stopped the war, because we had reached the cap of our escalation capabilities. Had we continued with his civilization erasing threats, there would be no energy coming out of the Middle East for a century. Trump stopped because he understood this, that we had gone. So what's he going to do? Start all over again? So this is why he's taken a new tack, the blockade, but this isn't going to work. A blockade is by definition an act of war. So he's in effect declaring war on Iran. And I anticipate that the Iranians will treat it as a warlike gesture, but I also anticipate that the allies of Iran aren't going to sit by and let this happen. I don't think any Chinese ships are going to say, well, we're not going to an Iranian port because of this. And I don't think any Russian ships are going to say the same thing. And I don't think the United States Navy is going to get too far boarding and detaining Chinese and Russian flagged ships at this juncture. So Donald Trump is posturing right now. Let's see where it goes, but there's no place for him to go because the outcome is guaranteed. Continued American military defeat, and we lose by not winning, and global economic disaster.
What does it take to effectuate a blockade?
So basically, all right, the thing that's guaranteed is American defeat, okay, which is prophetic. All right, and global, all right, economic disaster, which is prophetic. Okay, so the only thing left on the board is prophecy, man. Okay, the only thing this nigga can do is fulfill prophecy, man. All this little cute, dumb shit this nigga got going on, sex robots and, all this shit that don't matter. No, nigga, it's time to fulfill prophecy and get this nigga out of here, man. Okay? You see, the Lord wrapping this nigga up, man. Okay? The Lord wants to collapse worse than the elites. We should want the global collapse worse than the elites. Better, we should want it more than the elites, man. Okay? We glad these niggas playing both sides, man. Let's wrap it up. Because both sides finna get destroyed. Okay? I'm giving saying if you playing 8 sides, all this shit finna get erased. Okay? And these nations finna go completely rogue and be in it for themselves, man. You see, as this war intensifies and they get closer to this system, okay, these nations are going to be in it for themselves, man. Okay? You got to think this is Esau. How ambitious is Esau? Okay? You think this nigga has some type of integrity, okay, with himself? No, man. You know, they work together, but they don't trust each other. Okay? Like cause Esau know, like, see, this nigga me. Nigga, I know what I'm thinking. I know this nigga thinking like I'm thinking. You see? So let's play a little more.
Particularly one of an area this massive.
Well, first of all, it requires, extreme intelligence, meaning, and I'm not talking about the kind of innate intelligence that we're talking about that should be the purview of our elected leadership. I'm talking about intelligence from a systemic standpoint, from the U.S. intelligence community. We need to understand, where the ships are, where they're going, who they're flagged. And normally there's a mechanism in place. Lloyd's of London, the insurance companies, provides a lot of that. But because of the sanctions busting and because of the way this war has been going, the traditional way of tracking shipping is out the window. There's so much shadow fleet type activity taking place. So we need even better intelligence. Then the question comes, do we have the capacity to track, stop, search, detain these ships? Come on, ladies and gentlemen, look at a carrier battle group. First of all, the ships on the carrier battle group are there to protect the carrier. So if you have a cruiser or a frigate or a destroyer running picket, meaning they're the buffer between Iran's missiles and the carrier, the last thing these picket ships are going to be doing is diverting to intercept a tanker, because now they're off station. So we're going to need more ships coming in to do that. But as they move to detain, that is an act of war. And so if I were the Iranian ships or any ship, I would be leaving the Strait of Hormuz and hugging the coast of Iran and daring the United States to come in. Just saying, come on in, buddy, come on, because those ships will be sunk by the Iranians. This blockade is as porous as, I can't come up with the appropriate metaphor at this point in time, but let's just say there's giant holes in this blockade. This is a politically motivated blockade that has zero chance of effectuating any impact on shipping coming out of the Strait of Hormuz.
What happens if an American helicopter with a half dozen Navy SEALs in it lands on a Russian tanker?
Well, if the Russian tanker has some Wagner type PMCs, and that helicopter will never get to the tanker. It'll be shot down. The SEALs come down. There'll be a firefight on that boat. The SEALs may prevail, but now we're at war with Russia. So don't do it. I mean, this is stupidity in the extreme.
Ain't no good options for Esau, man. That's a lesson, man. Ain't no good options for Esau. Okay? What you gonna land on the Russian tanker? Okay, now what? Okay, how you think this finna go? You see? Ain't nobody playing with the West no more, man. Okay? Ain't nobody playing with the West no more, man. All right? They gonna have to get it in blood, man. Okay, everything they do is gonna be in blood, man. Okay, matter of fact, brother, what's that? Ezekiel 35. Okay, and what's that, 5? Since thou hast not hated blood, my brother want to post that, man. But he's gonna go. Yeah, you got it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got it. You get it before I do. I just respond, brother. Yeah, ain't no good option for Esau, man. Cause you were Edomite, so you were born with no good option. All right, the Lord gave you a little prosperity, that was it. But after that, there's no more good options for you, nigga. Okay, the elites, even the elites. Okay, like I say, we just gonna play both sides. The Lord gonna destroy both sides. Okay, so that's not a foolproof plan. Okay, it was a foolproof plan in World War One and World War Two to play both sides, but nigga, not this war. Yahweh Shai coming back. So all the other silly shit Esau got going on is irrelevant. You got to deal with Yahweh Shai this time. You ain't have to deal with Yahweh Shai World War One, World War Two. So it looked real cute what you was able to pull off. Okay, but this time the BS stopped, man. Okay. So let's play a little bit of this. All right.
But again, I don't know what Russia's doing right now in terms of beefing up, but there are reports that they have put Wagner veterans or PMC type people on these ships, armed them not only with light arms and machine guns, but also man pads. So if a helicopter comes in, they're going to be going up against combat hardened veterans. And, I know the SEALs are pretty tough, but you're not too tough when you're on a helicopter and that helicopter has been struck by, a man pad and now you're going down in the water. You're just dead.
How desperate is Trump?
Yeah, so, these nations, one thing about it, they've been so many steps ahead of America because America do the same thing. Okay, so it's a chance, you board these Russian, all right, and Chinese tankers. Okay, and it's gonna be soldiers on them. Okay, if you get to board them, if you're not struck down by them man pads, okay, which are those similar to a rocket launcher, but they're designed, to take down aircraft. Okay, so they can be launched from the shoulder. Okay, so they can just stand on the ship and launch from the shoulder. All right, you don't make it on the ship, and let's say, hey, the Russians might be in the mood for a fight. Okay, and they let you niggas on the ship. Okay, just to get some action in. All right, so this could potentially lead to direct conflict with Russia and China with this blockade. That's a possibility. Okay, so there ain't no good options for this nigga, man. Okay, so let's go from there to show, all right, how China is posturing, based off what's happening. Let's go here. And then we're just gonna go into how more, all right, prophecy is being fulfilled. Okay. Where it go? Let me see. It's got rid of drop. This one. Let me see. Okay, this should be it right here. No, that's not it. Yeah, it's just a lot going on. I say everything, subjugated to the will of Yahweh Shemau Shai, like scripture say, who have resisted his will. Okay. Okay, here we go right here. So this is what China is doing in response to this blockade. All right, so let's play this.
The world is holding its breath in a move that has sent shock waves through the global economy and brought the specter of a superpower conflict to the very edge of the abyss. A tense and dangerous face-off is underway in the turbulent waters just outside the Strait of Hormuz.
Dong signaled that China will protect its trade lifelines and honor its energy agreements with Iran, while warning outside powers against interfering in China's bilateral affairs. The remark landed as a blunt diplomatic cue.
If reports are to be believed, China's People's Liberation Army Navy has deployed a Type 055 guided missile destroyer to the Gulf of Oman and the northern Indian Ocean.
China stepping in to defend Iran? In a move turning heads across Washington, Tel Aviv, and Tehran, Beijing has deployed one of its most powerful warships, the Type 055 guided missile destroyer, near Iranian waters.
Late yesterday evening, reports began flooding in. subsequently confirmed by maritime tracking data and intelligence chatter, that the People's Liberation Army Navy guided missile destroyer Tangshan, a potent Type 052DL vessel with the hull number D122, has surged from its escort position in the Gulf of Oman and taken up an aggressive, stationary posture at the strategic exit of the strait. It is a 7-500-ton steel leviathan bristling with 64 vertical launch cells packed with long-range air defense, anti-ship, and land attack cruise missiles. On board, beyond the standard crew of roughly 280 sailors, are a reinforced contingent of highly trained PLA Marine Corps Special Forces personnel, an unofficial but robust number, likely exceeding 50 to 70 maritime raiders, prepared for boarding actions, force protection, and rapid response. The Tangshan raced to that position hours before the 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time deadline set by U.S. CENTCOM to begin enforcing what Washington calls a maritime blockade of all Iranian ports, but what the rest of the world recognizes as a naked act of economic warfare and outright piracy. This is not a drill, and this is not diplomacy. This is a flashing red warning that the empire's unipolar moment is over, and the unthinkable is now on the table. The presence of this warship and its unmistakable mission to shield the flow of Iranian crude to Chinese refineries is a direct and deliberate rebuke to the Trump administration's latest unhinged scheme. Beijing has made it abundantly clear that it will not stand idly by while American warships attempt to interdict, board, or seize Chinese-flagged or Chinese-owned tankers legally transiting international waters. The route the Tangshan and its supporting intelligence vessel, the massive 30,000-ton Liaowang 1, took to get here was no secret: a high-speed transit from the planned southern home port in Hainan, through the Strait of Malacca, and across the Indian Ocean, positioning themselves as a silent sentinel just south of the Omani exclave of Musandam. They are not just observing the ongoing U.S.-Israel war on Iran. They are altering its calculus. And why wouldn't the U.S. be able to simply seize these ships? Because unlike the vulnerable Venezuelan tankers Washington strong-armed in the Caribbean last year, seizing a Chinese vessel under the watchful eye of a Type 052D is an act of war that would trigger Article 5 of a completely different and far more dangerous type of alliance. That's why, in a desperate and frankly pathetic attempt to save face and project a veneer of authority it no longer possesses, CENTCOM was forced to immediately issue a new directive and search warrant scheme, now stopping every vessel transiting the area for inspection on the absurd pretext of enforcing sanctions, just to look like they are still in control of the situation, while China runs the actual blockade of their blockade. Now, before we get deeper into this powder keg that could ignite the entire global economy.
So there you have it, man. All right. So China done pulled up. You know, China said, nigga, we still gonna send oil through. You know, they got their special forces on board. All right. They got their, Navy destroyers. They got their Marines. You know, say, nigga, we still gonna get oil. You know, well, so you see, America got them wolf tickets. Ain't nobody buying the wolf tickets no more, man. Okay, and America gonna have to show something. Okay, you can't get whooped and still play tough. What that working? Okay, so now China done pulled up like, nigga, we still gonna get oil, nigga. You know what? Blockade, nigga. Okay. All right. So now, like they say, New Orleans is up there. So how this finna play out? Okay. So now you got China, they done pulled up. Okay. Which goes into the pre-sale the brother got. This is the brother Bayan Yashala, Ezekiel 35:5. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time their iniquity had an end. Okay, I think it's verse 36, Bible Shah. It goes into it. If you could put verse 6, Bible Shah. Okay. So yeah, man, and that's another thing. The Lord is beginning to avenge his people, man. You know, and he's using other nations to get at Esau, man. And he's getting Esau to get at himself, man. That's part of the Lord's vengeance against this devil, man. Okay, Esau in this delusion, you know, like Denzel on Training Day, the niggas smoking that cigarette where he say, nigga, nigga, I'm still winning. You know, there's Esau. That's the moment Esau win. When everybody was turned on this nigga. Okay, nigga bleeding, shot, you know, the nigga leaning on their colors, nigga say, oh yeah, I'm still winning. That's Esau, man. Okay. Is verse 6. And it says, therefore, as I live, said the Lord power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee, since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So now the Lord has got Esau prepared for blood, man. Okay. Okay, do your blockade. Niggas gonna get bloody. Okay. Do whatever you gotta do, niggas gonna get bloody. Go back to war with Iran. It's gonna be bloody. Okay? So every decision that this nigga make, man, you know, no, it's all good, brother. You know, ain't no rush. You know, you right on cue, you know. But yeah, every decision that this nigga make, it comes with blood now. Okay? His blood. You see? Cause he hasn't hated blood. He shed so much blood and ain't blinked. Now the Lord putting in it, setting up to where blood finna pursue this nigga, man. Okay? So let's go from there. So you got China, you know, they done pulled up to the strait, you know, to start to escort their ships. So now how America gonna play it? Okay. See, there was a time when America could announce a blockade, you know, and nations will fall back. But now, see, everybody trying America, man. You know? So let's go here, because now as these nations are beginning to see, let's go here.
In a move that has sent seismic tremors through the halls of the Pentagon and set the global gold market ablaze, the government of Japan, long considered Washington's most obedient and servile vassal in Asia, has just executed a geopolitical U-turn so sharp it risks snapping the axle of the American-led financial order.
Now, what we are learning is that Iran has allowed Japanese vessels through the Strait of Hormuz.
The Iranian government is considering allowing oil tankers to pass through the Strait of Hormuz on one condition: they trade in Chinese yuan.
According to a senior Iranian official cited by CNN, Tehran may permit tanker traffic if oil shipments are traded in Chinese yuan instead of the US dollar.
As the world watches the charred remnants of American credibility smolder in the Persian Gulf, Tokyo has quietly, desperately, and quite brilliantly cut a deal with Tehran that effectively shreds the entire edifice of the Trump administration's maximum pressure campaign. The specifics, confirmed through diplomatic back channels and reported by Kyodo News, are nothing short of a fiscal nightmare for the United States Treasury. Japanese tankers will once again steam through the Strait of Hormuz loaded with Iranian crude, but the greenback, that once almighty symbol of empire, has been shown the door. Japan has agreed to pay for this lifeblood of its economy, not in US dollars, but exclusively in Chinese yuan or the Iranian rial. The implications of this are staggering. For the first time since the end of World War, a core G7 member, a nation that hosts American military bases and has bent its knee to every sanction regime Washington has ever dreamt up, has looked the empire in the eye and said, no, my people need energy to survive, and I will not let your hubris starve them. We are seeing the immediate effects ripple through the global economy as safe haven assets like gold skyrocket, not just because of war risk, but because of the profound and accelerating fear that the US dollar is being openly, deliberately, and successfully abandoned by its own friends. This isn't a fringe move by BRICS alone. This is the defection of a key American satrap. The desperation in Washington must be palpable. Their sanctions wall has been breached not by a missile, but by a simple, rational decision. Survival trumps servitude. This is the story of how a $2 million toll paid in a rival's currency just bought the world a front row seat to the slow, agonizing death of.
And let's get that in Isaiah 13 and 17 and 18 and 19. You know, let's get that as well. You know, and also on Romans 8 and 28. You know, it's all working in our favor. You know, however it go, it work in our favor. You know, see, prophecy is our back now. You see, now we're riding the wave of prophecy to the top, and prophecy is bringing this nigga down, man. Okay, let's play a little bit more of this.
The petrodollar. Don't just watch this history unfold. Help us overpower the algorithm that tries to bury this reality. If you want to support journalism, the department, or the Netanyahu war cabinet, you need to act right now. Smash that like button, drop a comment below, even if it's just a dot, or better yet, tell us what you think about the death of the dollar and subscribe to this channel. The truth is a weapon, and we need to arm everyone we can. Stay with me, because the details of this unraveling are far more intricate and devastating to Western hegemony than you could possibly imagine. Let's get into the gritty, complex, and frankly terrifying economic matrix that drove Japan to this act of near rebellion. We often hear abstract numbers about oil, but let's make this visceral. Japan is the world's third largest economy, yet it is a resource ghost. It is an industrial titan built on a foundation of imported sand and imported fire.
Could your portfolios work harder? Maybe it's time to explore alternative investments. You're invited to join Phoenix Energy.
In 2025, the numbers were crystal clear. Japan imported roughly 2.46 million barrels of crude oil per day. Now, here's the chokehold. Over 95% of that crude, a staggering figure, came from the volatile crucible of the Middle East. And to get that oil to the refineries of Yokohama and Osaka, approximately 93% of Japan's shipping routes pass through a single, narrow, 21-mile wide sliver of water called the Strait of Hormuz. That corridor is not an American lake. It is Iranian territorial waters. When the conflict escalated, Japan watched its 254-day strategic reserve begin to bleed out like an open artery. The government was forced into the largest emergency oil release in the nation's history since the creation of its stockpile system in 1978, bleeding out 80 million barrels of their strategic reserves in a panic. Let me paint you the picture of that panic. Japan's March import volume collapsed to about 52 million barrels, the lowest level seen since 2013. And that was the good news. Analysts at the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, MEET, were staring at data projections showing a potential cliff edge for April and beyond, with tankers simply refusing to move without a credible security guarantee from the power that actually controls the waves, Iran. The financial physics were inescapable. Japan imports about 22 trillion yen worth of mineral fuels annually. If they couldn't secure a steady flow, the entire economic engine would seize. We're not just talking about expensive gas at the pump, where prices had already shattered 30-year records to hit over 190 yen per liter. We are talking about the production of medical supplies, the shutdown of factories, and the collapse of the agricultural transport network. The math was simple for Tokyo. Face the wrath of Donald Trump, or face the wrath of a population plunged into cold, dark, hyperinflationary chaos. They chose to keep the lights on. And let's be brutally honest about the history here, because it explains why this betrayal stings Washington so deeply.
So yeah, you have that dealing with Japan, which is a G7 nation, one of these top economies in the world. All right, they have, converted over to, all right, the East, man. They're, because see these nations are being forced to pick a side. All right, and America is being isolated for destruction. Okay, like I say, this BRICS bloc, okay, or this BRICS economic alliance, okay, it's the same bridge to the New World Order. Okay, because I say the West had their thing with the whole SWIFT and the the stable coin, okay, which they was going to get the stable coin to replace the dollar, their digital currency. Trump was working on. You can look into it. Okay, so they had their avenue to the New World Order through stablecoin, but BRICS have their New World Order through, a BRICS digital currency. Okay, but it's all under the tier of the elite bankers. Okay, so what we're seeing is these nations are beginning to jump ship, okay, from the West and align themselves with the king of the East, man. And it's isolate America, and the small has to be destroyed, man. All right, because even the EU gonna flip eventually, man. So we're gonna keep seeing these nations flip, okay? And then when we go here, just to show you more prophecy is being fulfilled. All right. When you go to militarily, more prophecies being fulfilled. And these small hats, they're doing exactly all right what they're prophesied to do, which is the least of the flock. Okay, to draw them out. Okay, so let's play this one. Let's get this pre-sales first and blow this up. All right, this is the brother you call. All right, hopeful 144 Romans 8 and 28 in the NLT, and we know that the Most High causes everything to work together for the good of those who love. All right, the Most High and are called according to His purpose for them. So everything worked for our good. It don't matter how it play out, it worked to our good now because prophecy is with us. You see, when prophecy was with Esau, it was against us. Okay, but now prophecy is with us, it's against Esau. Okay, so no matter what this nigga do, okay, militarily, it worked for our favor. All right, because everything he do militarily, it creates the alliances prophesied in the scriptures. Okay, and everything he do economically, okay, it brings about this devil bringing an hour of temptation, okay, which is going to lead to our deliverance, man. So no matter what this devil do, it works in our favor. No matter what move this nigga make, no matter how the elites think they got some type of master genius plan. No, all you're doing is working in the favor, all right, of the Lord and His people, man. Okay, it's the only thing Esau can do is push towards his end and our deliverance, man. That's the only thing this nigga got left to do. Okay, him spazzing out because the scriptures speak about what when the enemy. Matter of fact, brothers can get that Isaiah 59 and I think 19. Okay, let's get that real quick as well. Let's go here. Jeremiah 49 and 16 said, "Thy terribleness have deceived thee, and the pride of thy heart, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill." This is brother Gershon 72. "Though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, said the Lord." Okay, so the Lord raised this man up just to show his power, just so the Lord can show his power on how he's going to judge this man, and the Lord showing him that he ruleth in the kingdom of men. Okay, even the fact that the Lord is allowing inferior nation, okay, to dominate America militarily, man, it shows that He is. Okay, it ain't through the strength of men that a nation stays in power. Okay, it's through the will of the Lord. All right, and all these heathens have had their empires, and now this is the end. Okay, all these heathens have had their run, they've had their chance at empire, and this is the end. Okay, and this is part of the Lord's judgments for these nations to begin to judge each other through this war. All right, before Yahweh Shah comes with their final verdict, man. Jeremiah 49:17. "Also, Edom shall be a desolation, and everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof," man. So Edom is a desolation. Edom going to be a desolation, man, which is America. Okay, but Esau's power is going to be desolate, man. Okay, his authority is going to be destroyed. The authority that the elites, push through economic control, well, that's going to be destroyed as well. Okay, but America is going to be that place that's completely desolate at the end of this thing, man. Okay, and that's what it's all leading to. You know, that's what all roads lead to: America being destroyed, and you Edomites going to captivity, and you other nations. Okay. Isaiah 13:17, this brother Yashima, tribe of Judah, "Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them." So the Lord is stirring up Russia against them. Okay. Russia, the Lord got the spirit on Russia to break, to begin to break this shit up, man. Okay. You see, "which shall not regard silver and gold, and is not, and shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it." Yeah. You're not gonna be able to buy your way out of this, man. Okay, lifting sanctions on Russia because America has lifted, sanctions on Russian oil. Okay, to get more oil into the market. Okay, but that's not going to appease. Okay, Russia, because Russia is on an assignment according to prophecy, man. Okay, and all these nations are going to gather under the banner of Russia, man. Okay, and take America off the map. Okay, and that's the Lord doing. You see, what the Lord got going on overrides what the elites got going on. You see, Isaiah 13:18 said their bows, all right, also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of their womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. Yeah, man, these missiles, man, these arrows. Okay, they're not going to spare. All right, when Russia and these other nations send these ICBMs over here to the mainland of America, man. Okay, they're going to destroy with no pity. Okay, they're not going to have pity. All right, on a certain demographic or age group or gender. Okay, no, they're going to come and fulfill the Lord's anger because those weapons are the weapons of the Lord's indignation. Okay, Isaiah 13:19 says, "In Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, man." So America finna get that Sodom and Gomorrah treatment, man. Okay, well, America is still trying to, throw his weight around and you know show itself to be strong, man. It's over, man. America is done. Okay, the elites, you're done. You're out of there. Okay, bring the only thing left is the collapse, which is going to bring civil unrest. Okay, tribulation. But the Lord told us, hey, don't be weary or don't be fearful in these times, man. We in the time of rejoicing because this is exactly what because we know these things must be. The scriptures say, "Fear not; these things must be." So the Lord told us to fear not. He got us in these times, man. Okay, what Esau gonna bring? Because Esau, the Lord's gonna put the spirit on Esau, be like a madman, sparing none. Okay, but see, he only has authority over the non-elect. Okay, there's gonna be a standard lifted against the devil, man. You see, that's why yeah, the brother got that. Then we'll play this video. This Isaiah 59:19. It says, "So this is the brother warriors of Yahweh 144. It says, so shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of the Lord, okay, the spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him." Okay, so there's gonna be a standard lifted against this devil, man. Okay, because we know that part. Away from the war, away from the economy and the collapse, we know that he's going to make his move towards the prophets, but the Lord says it's going to be a standard lifted. Okay, so everything working in our favor, even him persecuting us, they finna, push propaganda. We finna be hated and looked at as, the cause of, all the problems of the earth. Okay, we're going to be a public enemy number one. Okay, well, that worked for our favor too. So when the devil make a move, it's gonna be a standard lifted. It's an L waiting for Esau at every turn, man. Okay, there's nothing but L's for this nigga in every decision he made going forward, man. Okay, so even in that, we in the time of a standard being lifted. We not see for them. This gonna be the worst time for them. It's gonna be the worst time ever for them. We're gonna be in the midst of it. But the Lord said, "Hey, we're gonna drink and be merry." He said, "We shall sing for joy." They gonna howl for vexation of heart. He said, "We shall drink and be merry and sing for joy." You see? So this is bad times for them. This is the good news for us, man. This bad times for them. You see? So let's see. So yeah, let's play this. Got one more video.
The world isn't on the brink of something, it's already here. But let's start where the fire is the hottest, and that is the Strait of Hormuz. For the first time since the US-Iranian war began, American warships pushed through that narrow corridor of water. 12% of the world's oil flows through the strait, and Iran's response was immediate, threatening to attack any U.S. Navy vessel that crosses it. Meanwhile, U.S. intelligence is now confirming what many suspected. China is not sitting on the sidelines. Beijing is taking an increasingly active role in the Iranian conflict. And President Trump has made the warning blunt. Ship arms to Iran, and there will be, quote, big problems. But the stakes don't stop at military hardware. The Airports Council International is already warning of global aviation fuel shortages if the strait stays closed. Flights, supply chains, your gas prices. The strait isn't just a military flashpoint, it's an economic choke point for the entire planet. And while all eyes are on the Middle East, Europe is holding its breath. NATO fighter jets were scrambled after a Russian aircraft appeared over European airspace with no flight plan filed. No warning, no identification, just a mysterious plane over the continent. At the same time, Russia's rolling out intercontinental ballistic missiles for nuclear drills, ICBMs, the kind designed to travel thousands of miles and hit the other side of the world. Could this be a deliberate signaling? Russia wants NATO and the United States to know exactly what is on the table. Whether it's a bluff or a blueprint, the message is clear. They are ready. Across the Pacific, North Korea conducted engine tests for a missile with a very specific target in mind, the U.S. mainland. Not a regional weapon, a weapon designed to cross an ocean. In China, Beijing is running military drills simulating a U.S. nuclear strike in the event of a war with Taiwan. They are not preparing for peace. They are rehearsing for the worst case.
Everybody getting ready to hit America, man. Everybody's getting ready to take America off the map. All they bend them both. Okay, brother want to post that Jeremiah 50 and 9. All these nations, okay, are locked and loaded, man, to take the whore off the map. Okay, so you elites, man. Hey, come on with what you got to do, man. You know, do you a cyber attack or, you know, do something drastic, man, to move the needle. You know, there's a global energy crisis. It ain't moving quick enough, man. Do something drastic, man. You don't have no false flags. You can, you know, what can you do? Do something, nigga. Okay, because this is where it's gonna lead to. Okay, and you niggas, you elites, you gonna go run into your bunkers and just wait to get snatched out of there by, all right, your house shine the elect, man. You know, and thrown into these pits. Okay, you see. So let's play this.
Meanwhile, a former U.S. vice president made headlines with a blunt statement. India will not be an American ally against China. As Washington tries to build a coalition in the Indo-Pacific, one of its key potential partners just signaled it's staying neutral. Now, here's where things get personal. The U.S. is moving towards automatically registering eligible men for the military draft. No more opting in. This system would do it for you. Combined with America's deployment of special forces and Navy assets towards Greenland, and a Pentagon AI weapons program called Project Maven being described as the future of war, a picture starts to form. The United States is not just reacting, it's reorganizing. And underneath the ocean floor, there's a quiet race happening that most people don't know about. A scramble to protect the submarine cables that carry 95% of the world's internet traffic. Cables that, if cut, could sever global communication in minutes. Military and intelligence agencies are calling it one of the most urgent vulnerabilities in modern warfare. But let's talk about Turkey and Israel, because this is beginning to look like a precursor to Ezekiel 38. I'd like to take you to this next headline from Prophecy Newswatch. Turkey threatens to invade Israel. A prophetic storm is brewing. The words were not whispered. They were not vague. They were not misunderstood. In a moment that sent shockwaves through geopolitical circles, Erdogan stood before an international audience in Istanbul and issued one of the most direct threats yet against Israel. There is nothing to prevent us from doing it. That it, as he made unmistakably clear, was military intervention and invasion. For years, rhetoric between Turkey and Israel has fluctuated between tense and hostile, but this was different. This was not merely criticism. This was not diplomatic posturing. This was a sitting leader of a NATO member openly invoking military action against a U.S.-backed ally, and doing so while referencing past Turkish military interventions as a precedent. Speaking at the International Asia Political Parties Conference, Erdogan drew direct comparisons between Israel and previous theaters where Turkey projected power. He pointed to operations in Libya and declared, "We will do the same to them." That statement alone would have been enough to spark alarm. But Erdogan went further, launching a personal and inflammatory attack against Benjamin Netanyahu, accusing him of being blinded by blood and hatred and running what he described as a blood-stained genocide network. Turkey's foreign ministry escalated even further, labeling Netanyahu the, I can't say that on YouTube, of our time, a comparison that all but ensures diplomatic relations will remain deeply fractured, if not beyond repair. And Israel, for its part, did not stay silent. Netanyahu fired back, accusing Erdogan of enabling Iran's network while brutalizing his own Kurdish population. Other Israeli leaders went further still, describing Erdogan as a power-hungry authoritarian clinging to imperial fantasies. The result? Well, not just tension, but open hostility, with both sides speaking as if conflict is no longer unthinkable. Right now, Erdogan's threats are just that: words, dangerous, inflammatory, destabilizing words, but still words. Yet history has shown that rhetoric often precedes reality. Leaders rarely wake up one day and act completely out of character. They move in the direction they have been signaling all along. And what Erdogan is signaling is unmistakable. A vision of Turkey as a dominant regional power, unafraid to confront Israel, willing to challenge the West, and increasingly comfortable projecting force far beyond its borders. For many observers, this is where geopolitics ends. But for others, particularly those familiar with biblical prophecy, it may be where another layer of meaning begins.
Yeah, and see, everyone has to try to tap into prophecy, man. Because that's the only thing that makes sense of what we're seeing. Okay, so now you have, these nations, doing nuclear simulations of what destroying America. All right, and then you have now the tension between the small hats and Turkey is on the rise, and we know, according to prophecy, Turkey is going to get involved in this war, man. And it's going to be on the side of what the kings of the East: Russia, Iran, China, and who's ever North Korea. Okay, North Korea, they're already, helping Iran, in the background. So now it's beautiful to see the Lord's prophecy play out, man, and the devil, okay, is just set up for complete failure, man. The scriptures say the devil is set up in slippery places, man. Okay, so he was set up just to fall. You see, and we're watching the fall. Okay, Esau not gonna go out in style. No, this nigga's gonna go out in a very embarrassing, dishonorable way, man. Okay, is this the man? All right, Jeremiah 50:9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence shall she be taken. Yeah, so we're seeing these nations set themselves in array, which is in battle formation, man. Okay, everyone is posturing to take out the whore. Okay, everyone is posturing to get at America, man, because that's their assignment in prophecy, man. Okay, it says, and then shall she be taken. Their arrow shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain, man. Okay, then every missile is going to have that precision. They're going to be guided by the Lord, man, to his target, to eradicate, okay, the whore, man, to burn the whore with fire. Okay, and Yahushua is going to come in this same time and destroy the military. See, these showing you that these nations just have this assignment of destroying America. Then Yahushua is going to come and destroy them, showing you that's their whole assignment. This is why the Lord has allowed them, to be militarily superior, okay, in this war, because they're on assignment. All right, and just like a temp staff, hey, when your assignment is complete, you're no longer needed. Okay, so the Lord got all these nations on the temp staff. Okay, from America to North Korea and everything in between, they're all like temp staff workers, man. All right, and Yahushua gonna come fire all their ass, man. Okay, so Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified once again. I'm gonna give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushua Bahashem, Makavadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessing, salutations, hopefully, shalom.